lens of a Judeo-Christian worldview. And now, here is your host, Brannon Howes.
And good evening. Welcome on this July 16th, 2025. July 16th, 2025. All right, we're going to have with us tonight Aaron Lavarco, live from Israel. Annie Cyrus is going to check in. And tonight, for the first time, we're going to take you on our very first tour together in Israel. We have asked Aaron if he would go to historical sites and film and turn those into us so that together we can go on a tour of the nation of Israel. Our first tour takes place tonight with Aaron. I want to bring that to you. We're going to learn a lot together. But first, we have to get our homework done. We have a lot to catch up on. This happened since we were last on the air. You guys by now have probably seen this footage, right? Syria getting bombed in Damascus. In Damascus. By they're bombing. Israel's bombing was the equivalent of their Pentagon. We're going to get to that tonight. Why is that happening? We'll get to that tonight. What else is going on? Look at this. This guy is wearing one of the Syrian army uniforms, but what is that? That's an ISIS logo. Isn't the leader of Syria really a leader of ISIS and Al-Qaeda? Why are we making peace with him? We also have, what else? Here we go. We're going to show you this. This is pitiful. This Druze leader, they shaved him and then he died. Who did this? The leader of Syria's people. Here's footage, still photo of nurses and doctors who are Druze murdered in Syria. We're going to talk about this tonight, folks. We'll play this video. This is the video of that man being shaved. He died after that. So we got a lot to get to, folks, tonight. Lots of things to cover tonight, no doubt about it, with our guests, Aaron Lavarco and Annie Cyrus. And then we're going to turn the corner and talk about some Bible history, archaeological history, the history of Israel as we seek to understand what is really at the center of the world, Jerusalem, and then, of course, the whole nation of Israel. So important. History, present, and future. Now, remember, how do we do all this? Bring you night after night of all this free programming. Please go right now, worldviewtube.com/sponsors, worldviewtube.com/sponsors, our vault with 35 years of radio shows, TV shows, ebooks, audiobooks, documentaries. Worldviewgold.com. Want to put gold in your IRA? I've been working with Swiss America for over 17 years. Worldviewgold.com. You can go there and you can request a packet of information, no risk free packet of information. Our foundation, worldviewfoundation.com. Just make a contribution if you want to help us push out free programming. Worldview Talk. Get your own satellite phone like I have. Get your solar generator. It's all there. Bulletproof backpack. Your blankets and beanies to knock down the electromagnetic force, the EMF, to give your body a break, a rest. Worldview Healthcare. Get your wellness kit. Make your home your own urgent care. Someone gets sick, running high fever, you're pretty sure it just needs a good antibiotic. You won't have to run to urgent care. You can just run down to the closet. Have that on hand. Bella Grace, I take it each and every day. Loaded with glutathione. Loaded with collagen. Then it's got cat's claw, an anti-inflammatory, and then astaxanthin. Takes on the free radicals. The water filter out all the garbage you're drinking. And you can also get one for your shower like I have as well. Which, ladies, it's great for your hair. The Gatatana, I drink it every day. Half a scoop goes on Dolly's food. Feed your cells. The mitochondria. Boost your immune system so it can fight off the bad stuff. And then Switch for Life. Switch with it, loaded with glutathione to detox your cells. Some studies show it may remove mercury from your brain, helping prevent Alzheimer's and dementia. Check it all out, will you? Worldviewtube.com/sponsors. taxdeductible.com/sponsors. Joining me now is Annie Cyrus and our reporter on the ground in Israel, Aaron Lavarco. By now, most of you know that the Druze, and this is a group of people in both Israel and in Syria that are being slaughtered, but also Christians being slaughtered by the military forces of the president of Syria, who has shaken the hand of President Trump. And I guess some of these guys were taken off the terrorist list. This is not going well. And apparently the Trump administration wants Israel to back off, but they're not going to. Here's the video footage from earlier today, and we'll get a report and an update on where this is going. Because, again, Syria and Al-Qaeda and ISIS are a threat to America. And many are warning that Al-Qaeda, which is some of the same elements now in Syria, have a major terrorist attack planned for America, bigger than 9/11. But here's what happened in Syria today as Damascus was hit by Israel. This is the equivalent of their Pentagon in Damascus.
إذا استهدافهم نهاية الأركان بشكل كامل.
قصف ثاني
دمروه منتصر سقط على الهواء
قصف هيئة الأركان بغارتين. نعم.
Well, look at that reporter standing there watching it with his helmet on and his flap jacket. And apparently this is going to not go unanswered. The question, I guess, are many questions. Why would the Trump administration want Israel to hold back? We also have video footage tonight. Can I go to that, Logan? Is that all right? We have video footage tonight. Sadly, it's been scrambled, so it's not going to be too graphic. But we do have video footage tonight of doctors, nurses slaughtered in a hospital in Syria. We are told some of these are also Christians, and the Christians in the hospital were hiding as the ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Syrian military forces of Jilani went through and slaughtered these nurses and doctors and hunting patients. We are hearing that a church in Syria has been burned. Again, Christians are also being targeted along with the Druze. Joining me now is Annie Cyrus and our reporter on the ground in Israel, Aaron Lavarco. Aaron, you told us on radio today, Druze, this would be a group of people that are not Muslims. Tell our listening friends tonight and viewing friends tonight exactly who are the Druze. D-R-U-Z. Is that how you'd spell that?
D-R-U-Z-E or D-R-U-S-E, correct. Brandon, in the 12th century, a Muslim man called El-Daruzi, he broke away from mainstream Islam and he started his own movement. It lasted about 26 years. People were free to join in. And then after 24, 26 years, something like that, they closed it off. And since then, they are an inbred religion. They are an ethnic religious group. There's about 3.5 million of them living mainly in Syria, Lebanon, and Israel. They're a mixture of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. They believe in all the major prophets, including Abraham, Moses, David, Jesus, Muhammad. Their number one prophet is Jethro. Jethro, according to the biblical text, he was the priest of Midian. And they claim that they are descendants of the Midianites, which is very interesting because an Islamic theology called the 12th Imam, they believe that he is going to come from the Druze themselves. Actually, they wear baggy pants because there's the belief that this 12th Imam who in the 12th century mysteriously disappeared. He's going to come back, but he's going to be born through a human, maybe even through a man. And that's why they wear baggy pants, in case he's born, he doesn't want to be dropped on his head. So they catch them with their baggy pants. This is genuinely what they believe. We have about 80,000 Druze living in Israel. They're very loyal to wherever they live. They serve in our communities. They serve in our military. We've even had generals that come from the Druze communities. So we are very close with them. They are very, let's say, apolitical. They don't get too involved with politics, probably because their communities aren't that strong as far as numbers. But they are loyal, and we believe they are worthy to be looked after, to be defended. And that's why we are going into Syria and we are defending the Druze living there, some of which are relatives of the Druze that are living in Israel.
Okay, Annie, we also have reports tonight, and we showed it on TV today. This is a Druze gentleman, a leader, and here is Jelani's group, the Syrians, the ISIS, Al-Qaeda guys, giving him a dry shave. They're doing this, they're humiliating a lot of these guys, and then I guess they assassinated this man after this, but they're also killing Christians, hunting Christians. Annie, what do you make of this tonight and this army, this leader, who I think by now Israel should go out and attack and eliminate him? But what is this? What do you make of all this and the Trump administration shaking hands with him, President Trump, trying to make peace with him? What do you, and then why are we getting reports from people like Sarah Adams who's saying, why is the U.S. Secretary of State upset that someone targeted an Al-Qaeda commander? He was literally on our target deck just 6 months ago. This kind of unhinged Al-Qaeda appeasement isn't just reckless. It's going to get lots of Americans killed. So what do you make of how we got here? And what is the Trump administration, you think, thinking right now? And what are they to do? And how? And who is Jelani listening to, do you believe? Who's telling him to do this? I know there's a lot of questions. The floor is yours.
Sure. Okay, let me just quickly make one correction. I know the reports, the tweets are saying it. However, yes, they did insult Sheikh Shaheen, clean shave, which is very bad in the culture of Druzes. Their beard and their mustache is a symbol of honor, wisdom, and status. But they did not kill him afterwards because of old age.
They didn't.
They didn't. He did die. However, after they left his house from the stress and the dishonor and all of that, his heart gave up. His granddaughter. So I would say they killed him then. Yes, that's the thing. His granddaughter put out a Facebook post saying his blood is on your hands because you knew what you were doing in this house when you were shaving his face and calling him the names they are calling him, mocking him. So yes, they were the cause. I just want to be very accurate that it's not like they slit his throat or hanged him, but their actions knowingly and his old age and all that caused, unfortunately, his death. I actually... The main thing I've been reporting on this is on our side, American side. I'm like, isn't it amazing that the first thing Trump administration wants to do, ceasefire, stop the war, we need peace there. First of all, we cannot afford to possibly 1 in a million lose the nomination of that peace prize. We can't afford that because President Trump needs to go home with that next year. But I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised. I personally will say, you can't see my face, but with a very straight face, that I've been warning President Trump and his administration, when you go and legitimize people like HTS and the new transitional leader of Syria, and you just lift sanctions and give him that much power, you got to be careful. This is the result of dancing with the devil. Now, when Marco Rubio answers the question of, we're very worried and we want this war to end immediately, it is, to me, It is a slap in the face of all non-Muslims who have been and continue to be slaughtered and killed and raped and tortured in Syria on the hands of this terrorist group. And I don't care if we remove them from our terrorist list. They are a terrorist group. They are a jihadist group, and they have years of resume proving it. So when we're more concerned about appeasing them than care about all the slaughters they have done, well, that just explains where our administration stands. Now, I want to make one thing very clear for any, I don't know who's reading what. This is kind of ongoing. I really do pray that Israel doesn't stop and lead this back into an Iran-Israel war, by the way. So I want to put this out there. I have stated on my Facebook that this is where I was waiting for the next bomb to drop. This today will lead back into breaking the ceasefire with Iran, because Iran has already announced they're going to protect the Syrian government with everything they've got. So stand by, as Iran is going to get involved. However, the original attack had nothing to do with the Al-Qaeda group. It had nothing to do with the transitional government, not even anything to do with going in to defend the Druzes today. It was targeting Iran's proxies in Syria. That's where the attack started. Now it has expanded to more good points, but I just want to mention for anyone who's saying Israel is now going after Syrian people. Israel is not after Syrian people. The original initiation of this attack was towards Iran's proxies in Syria, who were warned for more than 7 days to back away, and they didn't. So again, this is not an attack. This is a retaliation by Israeli military.
Now but now the Israeli military is going after the Syrian army that's killing the Druze and the Christians, right?
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. It's the same thing with Iran and Israel war. The first day, Israel was retaliating, just attacking the IRGC members. But later on, during the 12 days, it expanded to whomever got involved, whomever needed protection, and vice versa. This is the same scenario. The original the attack, the retaliation was toward the proxies. But then when the current administration in Syria decide to send their armies to get involved, of course Israel is going to attack them back. Even Netanyahu earlier today asked the Druzes in Israel not to cross border into Syria. I think Aaron can confirm what I'm saying. It was asked of Druzes.
Well, actually, I have video footage. I have video footage of the Druze running from Israel into Syria.
Into Syria, yes.
To go in to protect their community.
Exactly. But my point is, Netanyahu, that is when they have to protect Druzes, because even though it was asked of the Israeli Druzes to stand down, they didn't. I don't blame them. They saw an opportunity. But now Israeli military is going to continue defending, technically, partially, its citizens who are in Syria. Yeah. But we need to be very careful when we are bringing reasons of what is happening today. We need to be very clear. It has started as a retaliation that was a warning of over 7 days by IDF telling the proxies of Iran in Syria to back down. They didn't. So Israel retaliated. Let's make sure that stays very crystal clear for the remaining days of this conflict.
Okay, so they retaliated, but the military in Syria going after the Druze and the Christians, who was telling them to do that, Annie?
Their leader.
Right, but who was telling him to have them do that?
The Quran and Muhammad?
You don't think, you think it was, I guess what I'm asking is, Aaron and I are on the radio today, we're saying, who was whispering in his ear, telling him to do this? Is he just following ideology of ISIS and Al-Qaeda?
Yeah, that's the thing. The reason he had a quote-unquote fallout, not technically fallout, but separated and created his own group and became his own boss, was because he is a devout believer in conquering and following Muhammad's footsteps. So yes, he's doing what ISIS, Al-Qaeda, IRGC, Taliban, and all of them do, but not because he has someone telling him to do it, except his faith in Islamic conquer.
But Annie, can
But
I
you don't
ask?
think there's some other country behind him telling him to do this, Annie?
No, I believe there are other countries telling him we got your back, but not ordering
How
the
about
action.
like Turkey? Like Turkey?
Absolutely. Turkey, Iran. Again, today, Iran, the first thing Iran said was, if Israel doesn't stop immediately, we're going to defend the Syrian government, not Syrian people, not Druze, not Syria, the Syrian government. We will protect the Syrian government with everything we've got. And we're going to give Israel a harsher answer than we did when Israel attacked Iran. So, of course, Iran is part of it. Turkey is part of it. If you ask me, probably Lebanon is playing a role, not the government. The proxies are playing a role.
Jump in here, Aaron, please.
No, that makes total sense what Annie is saying. And I go back to what I was saying before, Brannon. Bibi and Donald Trump's meetings in Washington last week, yes, they were for trying to push forward the Abraham Peace Accords, but I've been hearing reports that they were also talking about planning for the next round of potential fighting with Iran, with their proxies. But there's, like I said before, I am actually a bit surprised that Giuliani has done this. He's not stupid. He overthrew the Assad regime. He timed it perfectly. It went relatively smooth. Okay, that's done. But he knows what's at stake. The Abraham Peace Accords he's about to sign, that's going to bring in billions of dollars to him and his movement. For him to go after the Druze, he knows very, very well that Israel has the Druze backs. So for him to do it, he's not stupid. And so I think there's some strategy behind it. And I tend to lean on what Annie's saying. It's got to be not just nationalistic, but jihadist motivated. Like I was saying before, there are Muslims who are nationalistic, like the Abraham Peace Accord nations. They want their nations to be built up. They're nationalistic. But there are also Muslim jihadists. And Giuliani is showing his cards. He's showing his true nature. And his true nature is like Hamas. And they're murdering thee and slaughtering and raping. This is the Druze October the 7th. And I'm so proud that our government and our military, whatever it's going to cost us, and it is going to cost us, whatever it's costing us, we are helping our Druze brothers. And I'm ashamed of these silent voices who are not condemning Syria, who are not condemning HTS and Giuliani. Shame on them. These same people that condemn Israel, they're not condemning HTS.
We're now getting reports that
Aaron,
Israeli Minister Ben Gvir is calling for the assassination of the Syrian president. There you go. Annie?
Well, Aaron, let's look at it this way. Giuliani, I agree with you. Giuliani is a smart. However, I will say, first things first, he did not topple Assad. As always, he had the support. You don't go topple Assad. Damascus fell, and 3 other provinces fell before his men even got to those provinces.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. So Giuliani didn't do this by himself. It was another coup d'etat. And I can promise you, in 2 years, we're going to see the handprint and footprint of Western countries on it, all over it, because they just want to get rid of Assad. Now, he is very smart. However, Islamic Republic of Iran, the biggest funder of all of these people, even though front of cameras, Giuliani and Khamenei don't like each other, supposedly, but starting second day of war of Iran-Israel, Giuliani came out and said, hey, it's time for Islamic Republic of Iran to come to the table and start talking to us because we can be helpful. Now, if they did sit back on that desk, if they did talk to each other, now Iran is ready to break ceasefire, but they don't want to do it because technically Trump said any party that breaks the ceasefire, we're going to be on the side of the other person. They can use Giuliani and today, as I said earlier, to re-engage in war with Israel without being in war in Israel, because that's what Iran's done. In last 30 years, they have fought Israel through their proxies, and Giuliani could be a new proxy for Iran. How did they turn Hamas to their proxy? With money. Giuliani, yes, all the sanctions were lifted and Saudi Arabia paid all the debt of Syria, but Giuliani doesn't have national money right now to run. All it takes is for Iran to say, here, we're going to fund you. Now we need you to go and start doing this. If they have the backing of Iran, Turkey, Hezbollah, and Hamas, Giuliani is not afraid to go up against Israel.
Yeah, and you know
okay,
what?
so when I asked earlier who was telling Giuliani to do this, and that's what Aaron and I were talking about on radio today, you just kind of answered the question, Annie. You think Giuliani is now taking the orders of Iran?
No, Giuliani is taking money of Iran. I want to be very clear. They are not manipulating Giuliani. I want to emphasize on what Aaron said. Giuliani is a jihadist. He is taking Iran's money and he's going to count on Iran and IRGC to back him when today happens. But his arm wasn't twisted. He wasn't forced to become this irrational jihadi. He was born this jihadi. He was trained and raised and groomed as a child to be this jihadi. That's why I keep saying, yes, he is cooperating with Iran, but this is not something he's going against his wishes or will or commitment to Islam.
Right, but he is being paid now. He's now being paid for this.
Yes, he is funded. Yes. Or even armed.
So you think
Iran
this is going to cause...
arm him.
Okay, so you believe that this is going to cause the ceasefire between Israel and Iran to break down. How do you see that happening, Annie, before I go to Aaron?
Well, here's how I see it. Iran, if Israel doesn't stop, which I hope and pray they don't, Iran's going to start backing Syrian army against Druzes. That's going to give Israel enough grounds to attack Iran again. And that's how this is going to go on.
And then President Trump is going to have to come out against Israel? Because you just said whoever breaks the ceasefire, he's going to be against that person. So is President Trump going to be forced to condemn Israel?
Well, President Trump technically has done that for almost a month and a half now. He's not going to be forced. He already, I'm sorry to be harsh, but he already picked his side. The moment he shook Giuliani's hand, the moment he lifted sanctions on Giuliani, the moment he went for another bad, terrible deal with Hamas, the moment he went to create ceasefire between Iran and Israel. Those were all siding against Israel anyways. But yes, I think, again, Trump administration is going to try to patch things up, benefiting Iran and the mullahs and their proxies. And if Israel refuses to do it, I mean, we all witnessed what President Trump said on camera, dropping F-bomb about Netanyahu and Israel. What worse could have?
So you're the whole reason for doing this, Annie, you believe is he wants to go down as a man of peace, right?
He wants to go to his retirement in Qatar with Peace Prize on his shelf. I do apologize if I'm very blunt today, but it's just
that's all right. That's why we love you.
Thank you, but it is so embarrassing when I see what Marco Rubio says or what's coming out of White House. They're so worried about protecting a jihadi. It's just exhausting to be an American today.
Mm-hmm. Well, don't we have a jihadi sitting on the Faith Council now who spent 20 years in prison?
2 of them. We don't have 1, we have 2, but yes, 1 of them served prison time. Yes, and I do apologize for doing this, but it's not just those 2. I finished a draft of Substack coming out tomorrow, and it is a free Substack, so just subscribe, check. Brandon, based on my research, the piece that's coming out tomorrow, it's going to show proof, and I always put the receipt. 18 cities in America have been conquered, Brandon. 18 cities in America have been officially conquered by Islam. And now we're worried about defending and protecting another regime. Gilani is not a transitional government. Gilani is officially the government of Syria. I don't care how they sugarcoat it and wrap it in the word of transitional. How long does a transition take?
How does this fit? How does this fit in, Annie, with Sarah Adams and others warning about a massive attack on America, bigger than 9/11, possibly coming, they say, in 2025 by Al-Qaeda and ISIS, particularly Al-Qaeda and their invisible bombs with the new technology that's very hard to pick up on airport scanners. How does all of this, because Jilani in Syria is ISIS, is Al-Qaeda. We actually have a video. We showed it today on TV this afternoon. We actually have a video of a Syrian guy wearing his uniform with the ISIS logo on it. So there it is. So when I come back, Annie, I want to ask you, how does all this with Al-Qaeda, or whatever group you want to call them, in Syria lay the foundation for an attack inside America? liveuptofreedom.substack.com, liveuptofreedom.substack.com, Aaron Levarco, lighttotheNationsMinistry.com. We'll be right back with more. We're brought to you by you. Many ways you can do it. worldviewtube.com/sponsors gives all the great ways to keep this free program going. worldviewtube.com/sponsors. We'll be right back.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work, try to see a doctor this week, or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Go to worldviewhealthcare.com. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. worldviewhealthcare.com. That's worldviewhealthcare.com.
The emergency kit available at worldviewhealthcare.com. Make sure you don't have to go to urgent care. I got pneumonia. I didn't have to go. I took this last year. Stayed at home. Went to bed.
Introducing the Sentry Wellness System, the ultimate undersink water treatment solution designed with you in mind. Say goodbye to harmful toxins and hello to water enriched with essential nutrients like calcium and magnesium. Enjoy the benefits of increased pH for on-demand alkalinity. All from a zero-waste system that fits seamlessly into your home. Installation is a breeze, taking just 15 minutes, so you can have clean, healthy, great-tasting water straight from your tap. Perfect for apartments, homes, rentals, and even RVs. Elevate your hydration and well-being with the Sentry Wellness System because you deserve the best in every drop.
Sentry H2O. Tap into wellness.
All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. worldviewtube.com. Hey, remember, you can get a stack of these business cards absolutely free, a stack of 20 of them. Just go to worldviewtube.com. No, sorry, worldviewstore.com. Worldviewstore.com, and you can get a stack of these absolutely free. Worldviewstore.com. Pass them out to your family and friends. Let them know about Worldview Tube, okay? We're not mouthpieces for any group, any government, any political party. We just present the truth here, folks. That's what we do. That's why we're growing, by the way. We're not trying to be on the right side of an issue so we get invited to all the right Christmas parties, okay? We're just here to present you with truth. We're here to praise people when they do great and say what is going on when we think they're not doing great. We're just putting out the truth here, folks, okay? Worldviewstore.com if you want to get a bunch of these to pass out. They're free. We appreciate it. Don't forget about our fall conference coming up October 3rd and 4th. That's a Friday night and a Saturday. October 3rd and 4th with a huge lineup. We only have 350 seats. It's our 22nd annual national conference. Full details at worldviewstore.com as well. Worldviewstore.com. Joining me now is Annie Cyrus and Aaron Levarco. So before I go back to Aaron, Annie, how does this skirmish now, this war, Israel at war with Syria, the Syrian government, with their leader, Jelani, and that's being Al-Qaeda as well, how does this lay the foundation, if at all, for the terrorist attack that Sarah Adams and others are warning about that's coming to America by Al-Qaeda? Annie?
I would say right now, as I speak with you, it doesn't. Because if Trump continues appeasing them, they have no reason to attack us. So it all depends on Trump administration's reaction to everything that's going on in the Middle East, not just today, but from day one until today. And I believe on one of the shows that I joined you previously a few months ago, I said I think that's actually one of the main reasons Trump is constantly giving keys to White House and access to government to these jihadists, because he wants to make sure they do not attack us here. What he doesn't understand is that's actually worse. But right now, his mindset is if I appease them, if I stay friendly with them, they won't attack here on our soil, so I can be the president with zero terrorist attack or jihadist attack. So it depends. If it continues, his administration continues the way they are right now, I don't think we're going to face an attack. But if we do the right thing, yes, and I know probably most Americans are like, well, great, let's continue. No. Let's not do that. 18 cities in America conquered by Islam is not something you want to continue. You want to stand up and do the right thing and use our intelligence and system and all the surveillance to catch the terrorists here in America before they actually deliver and do their mission.
So when I was asking many people, you included, Annie, last year, and the year before that, and the year before that, do we as a country have to worry that the Islamists have penetrated our country so tightly, or Iran has nuclear weapons on satellites going over the U.S. along with other countries that could do an EMP attack? I've asked over and over, are we being blackmailed? Are our leaders being blackmailed to not do certain things because they have been told if you do, this will be the consequences? It sounds like to me that's what you're saying. I don't know if you want to call it blackmail, whatever you want to call it, but it sounds like blackmail to me. Annie?
It's absolutely blackmail, yes. Yes, it is absolutely blackmail. And it goes back to we were supposed to not negotiate with terrorists, but it seems like that is what we exactly do. You were right to ask the question, and the answer is still yes. We are being blackmailed under every administration.
All right, Aaron, what do you make of what you're hearing Annie and I talk about? As an Israeli, what do you make of this?
Well, I really take to heart what Annie said about, Donald Trump, America being careful. They don't want an attack to come on America, so they have to play their cards right. I'm paraphrasing what Annie was saying. By the way, I just got a report from saying U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has just announced that after consultations with all parties involved in the fighting in Syria, there is an agreement to take specific steps that will end the fighting tonight. Doesn't say what those steps are, but there's an agreement with all parties to take specific steps to end the fighting. But one thing, as I've been listening, and I mentioned this earlier, Brandon, to you, when I was wondering, Jolani's not stupid. Either he is stupid, which I don't think so, or he is strategically planning this fight against the Druze. It could, I'm sure some of it is what Annie was saying because of his belief in the Quran and jihadism and all that. But, and I do agree with the financial help from Tehran and all of that, but I just still got that suspicion about Turkey. There's something like a dark shadow that hovers over Turkey. And just last week, there were a group of PKK soldiers that, and PKK soldiers are part of the Kurds who live in Syria, and about a third of the population of Syria are Kurds. And for the majority, they are enemies of Turkey, and they hold in the prisons many ISIS fighters. Well, just last week, a number of PKK soldiers surrendered to Turkey. And this is very important for Turkey. Turkey, they want Syria. They want Jerusalem. They've been calling out for Jerusalem for a long time. So I can't know for sure, but I just have a deep sense that Turkey are the dark horse waiting in the wings. Maybe they have a part in this where they want, and let's not forget the natural resources inside of Syria, the oil, the gas, that strip right across there. You know, for Turkey to sit back and watch Giuliani signing a peace accord with Israel, with America, that doesn't sit so well with them. So I just wonder, and all of this will be revealed soon, but let's see how this outplays.
All right. Here is audio coming from the Oval Office this afternoon with Marco Rubio and the president.
Yeah, it's complicated, obviously. These are historic, long-time rivalries between different groups in the southwest of Syria, Bedouins, the Druze community, and it led to an unfortunate situation and a misunderstanding, it looks like, between the Israeli side and the Syrian side. So we've been engaged with them all morning long and all night long with both sides, and we think we're on our way towards a real de-escalation and then hopefully get back on track in helping Syria build a country and arriving at a situation there in the Middle East that's far more stable. So in the next few hours, we hope to see some real progress to end what you've been seeing over the last couple hours. Yeah.
Okay. Annie, how can we call this a misunderstanding?
Oh,
I was literally just thinking, misunderstanding? Can somebody inform
I think we just heard... I think we also just heard underneath Annie was Aaron just said, "Oh my gosh."
And he used the word "this unfortunate incident." Unfortunate? It was slaughter. How can he use the word unfortunate? Sorry, Annie.
Let's remind everybody in part. While Annie's talking, while you're talking, Annie, I want to show some video footage. Okay, of what's been going on and the murder of innocent people and this guy, a Druze leader that was treated this way who died after this, the murder of doctors, nurses, hunting of Christians, the burning down of Christian churches. I'm sorry, Marco Rubio, I've praised you several times since you got in there, but that's bad. That was bad language to use. Misunderstanding, unfortunate. I mean, come on, Annie, go ahead.
Well, let's explain this misunderstanding. In last 2 weeks, 2 weeks ago, there were missiles shot towards Israel by a group known as Martyr Mohammed al-Deif Brigades. Don't worry about remembering the name. Who are they? They are the Syrian Palestinian resistance in Syria. And then last week, we had the IRFS start to fire missiles toward Israel again. Who are they? They are the newly, that I reported on about 7 months ago, newly Shia Jihadi militia in Syria that was put together and trained by IRGC. Where's the misunderstanding exactly? And those were the first targets of this attack. The retaliation I was talking about, this was it. There is no misunderstanding. You got the Hamas root militia group, and you have the IRGC affiliated Shia militia group. There is no misunderstanding, unless we want to keep misunderstanding, because we keep misunderstanding.
We're now seeing the video footage. We're now seeing the video footage, and I was showing it scrambled, but now I've gotten ticked off, so I'm not showing it scrambled anymore. Okay? Good. I was showing it scrambled. Now I'm not. So I want everyone to see Marco Rubio's misunderstanding. Okay, I'm sorry, all these dead doctors and nurses and patients, it was just simply a misunderstanding. Okay? We did this on October 7th. We didn't show stuff scrambled.
Yeah,
because I'm not playing those games.
By the way, Brandon.
Yep.
It's that soft talk, unfortunate missing. That's what's going to lead America to an October 7th, because that's what happened to us. We did not take these enemies of ours as serious as we should have. We thought that they were just rough guys in the neighborhood, and we let them play around, do some bad stuff in the neighborhood without doing anything. And that kind of talk, that very much concerns me. That's almost an appeasement, almost a compromise. You know, I'm shocked. Unfortunate misunderstanding. If it was his family that were doctors and nurses that got mutilated, would he be using unfortunate? I don't think so.
I think
no, I don't
would.
either. Annie, I have no idea.
I think he would.
But you think he would?
He would. Let me tell you why he would. How many slaughter of Americans have happened in America in hands of ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Taliban, IRGC, Hamas, pro-Palestinians? When the narrative doesn't change, when the softness of tone stays where it's at, this is why I don't do the whole, let me give him another minute, let me give him another chance. Over and over, they have proven that no matter what happens to who, where, they're going to continue twisting the narrative and giving more lifeline to all of these jihadists.
But what shocks me with what you've said, which I agree with, but what shocks me is that if it was under the Biden administration, I could understand. But it's under the Trump administration. And it seems that they've been totally changing their attitude. They've been, toughening up a little bit and speaking the Middle East language. But this is not the Middle East language. This is the Biden administration language. That's what shocks me.
It used to shock me too, but then I realized that. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brennan.
No, this David Pine was saying this is starting to feel like Biden 2.0. I know I got to do a hard rap with you, Annie, but look what Sarah Adams has written. ISKP's Rajab Salahuddin is alive. Tell our audience who that is.
Who? I'm sorry, can you repeat the name?
ISKP's, Rajab, R-A-G-A-B, and the last name is S-A-L-A-H-U-D-D-I-N. And she says America just bankrolled the enemy. To the U.S. government, as of today, Rajab is alive. That's the number 2 of the Islamic State. The Khorasan province, ISKP. And you just handed the Taliban nearly $90 million this week after a completely staged raid last week. You fell for a lie. Again, the Taliban ran a fake operation saying they took Rajab out, and you believed them without proof. Then you paid them for it.
I'm sorry. We were under impression that he's dead?
That's what she's saying.
Oh. Okay, I'm sorry.
She's saying this wasn't a joint counterterrorism victory. It was theater. And now the terrorists are laughing at you, mocking how easy it is to game the system. Whoever in the intelligence community vouched for this payment should be fired on the spot. You're funding terrorists under the banner of counterterrorism and putting Americans in danger with this reckless policy. And to the American public, this is your money. Nearly $90 million more in taxpayer funds just went to the same Taliban that gave safe haven to Osama bin Laden and now harbors 4 bin Laden's sons and both senior al-Qaeda and ISIS leaders. The U.S. government is throwing cash at terrorists who are using it to plot against us while telling you everything is under control. It's not. This is just incompetence. This isn't just incompetence. It's a national security disaster. We're being lied to, defrauded, and left exposed by those paid to protect us. That's Sarah Adams tonight. Annie, I know you need to respond and then wrap.
Yes, I honestly, I don't know. We're under impression he's dead because I knew he's alive. But that's, I guess, beside the point. Or I missed a memo from our government saying they took him out. I know he went under sanctions, personal sanctions in 21 or 22, but I didn't know he's dead. Again, I'm not shocked of any of this information coming out. Originally, I was responding to Aaron saying the first week of Trump shocked me. From there, I very quickly adjusted and realized Trump 2.0 is a politician. He's no longer a businessman who cares for America. Unfortunately, he has turned into a politician. The rest of his administration are all politicians. And I think Monday on my show, I mentioned to everybody that I pray that President Trump will come to realize that every action he's taking and his administration is taking, internally or internationally, is one step closer to having American citizens' blood on their hands.
All right.
And it looks like we're going to continue doing it.
I know you got a hard out. liveuptofreedom.substack.com, liveuptofreedom.substack.com. Annie, as always, thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much, Brian, and stay safe, Aaron.
Thanks, Annie. God bless.
And she has a brand new Substack coming out tomorrow, folks, on how Islam has taken over about 18 American cities and is growing. Liveuptofreedom.substack.com. All right, we come back. Let's change the mood, change the tone a little bit, because I can only take so much of this. How about you guys? Let's talk a little Bible history, world history. Let's talk about Aaron, who just went to a 2,000-year-old Roman amphitheater. He just did his first segment for us, brought to you by our foundation. We're saying, hey, Aaron, we'll give you an honorarium if you go do some of these things for us to share with our audience. So if you appreciate this, we need your support so we can continue giving honorariums to Aaron to produce not only the great reporting we get from him, but what you're about to see when we come back. WorldviewFoundation.com, WorldviewFoundation.com. We'll be right back.
True beauty isn't applied. It's nourished from within. Bella Grace Elixir, a luxurious, scientifically crafted blend designed to restore radiance, vitality, and strength at a cellular level. At the heart of Bella Grace Elixir lies cat's claw, a powerful herb from the Amazon known for its ability to control inflammation and protect collagen. With Verisol collagen peptides, it goes beyond the surface, stimulating your body's natural collagen production to reduce fine lines, improve skin elasticity, and promote real, visible change. Bella Grace Elixir doesn't stop at collagen. It includes astaxanthin, one of nature's most powerful antioxidants. 6,000 times stronger than vitamin C, astaxanthin protects your skin from harmful UV rays and environmental stress, while locking in hydration and promoting a radiant, youthful glow. Experience the power of nature with Bella Grace Elixir at melissahousebg.com. Discover the science behind Bella Grace Elixir at melissahousebg.com. Read powerful testimonials from doctors and real customers who've experienced life-changing results, and explore other wellness products from Bella Grace. Bella Grace Elixir is more than just a product. It's a solution. Visit melissahousebg.com today.
Looking for a trusted source to understand today's world through a Christian worldview? Worldview Tube is built on the 35 years of Worldview books, columns, research, and high-profile interviews of Brannon House. Want to know more about Worldview Tube, its founder, history, team, and mission? Visit worldviewtube.com/about. That's worldviewtube.com/about. Worldview Tube is your source for understanding the times through the lens of a Christian worldview.
All right, folks, you know I take it every day. One of a few products I take every day, Bella Grace, the elixir loaded with collagen, peptides cut short so your body digests it. Studies show about 95% of the collagen most people take gets flushed. 95% of this, according to studies, gets absorbed because the peptides are cut short so your body can absorb it. And then it's top drawer collagen. And then you got the astaxanthin that crosses the brain-blood barrier, which is great for taking on free radicals. And then you got the cat's claw. That's a powerful anti-inflammatory. So please go to melissahousebg.com. Get a subscription and save. Get a subscription and save money like we do. Okay? melissahousebg.com. Take a look at this headline real quick. National Guard was hacked by Chinese Salt Typhoon Group for nearly a year. That's what a Department of Homeland Security memo says. Are you kidding me, folks? A National Guard was hacked by the Chinese for nearly a year. Huh, look at that. Look who's in our system. Let me ask you, are you confident that your government can protect you? Do you think your government can stop the Chinese or any of these other groups from taking down critical infrastructure? Do you think the government's going to be there to help you when it happens? Do you think they're even going to be able to physically help you if they take down enough of the critical infrastructure? The answer is no. If they are able to help you, are you going to want what they offer you? Are you going to want to sleep in a packed out gymnasium with who knows who and eat who knows what? Be your own rescue team. Be your family's own rescue team. Be prepared, folks. WorldviewStore.com. We have freeze-dried food. We have a sale going on right now. We have a sale going on for freeze-dried food. If you go to WorldviewStore.com, right now you can pick up 4-week buckets of what are 4 weeks of food. And I think it's 2 buckets. 4 weeks. We're selling it at our cost. Our cost. There's no profit in there. Why? Because we ordered too much of the 4 weeks. I really want the 3 month. I want the 3 month packs. Those are what sell the best. We ordered a bunch of the 4 week, and people really want the 3 month. So I said, well, let's just sell it at our cost and bring that inventory down. Because you know what? If you're getting freeze-dried food at our cost, a lot of people will say, you know what, I'll take that 4 week. I'll take that 4 week. I'll take a month of food. So if you're looking for a deal, this is it. This is the deal, folks. WorldviewStore.com. You can also get breakfast. Apparently, we have too much of the breakfast as well. So I said, you know what? Put that at our cost. Let's get that inventory down. So if you were saying I was waiting for a good sale, this is it. WorldviewStore.com. You can get it, breakfast and the 4 week at our cost. Plus, you can get all the other supplies there you need. A lot of them, folks. To be your own rescue team, because your own government can't protect itself from having our National Guard hacked by the Chinese for nearly a year. The government can't protect you. They can't even protect themselves. So prepare for the worst and pray for the best, because the signs are all there. A terrorist attack is likely coming, and if it's not, it could just be simply taking down critical infrastructure. And your government apparently is too inept at so many levels to even know they've been infiltrated after they've been infiltrated for almost a year. WorldviewStore.com. All right. Join me now is, again, Aaron Lavarco. We asked Aaron to start going. He's a licensed tour guide in Israel for so many decades. Can you go, Aaron, to several actually, historical sites, do videos for us so we can share with our people? It's kind of like going on a tour of the Middle East, of Israel, but you get to stay at home. All right. So, Aaron, we got 3 videos to play. I guess we're going to play them in order. What are we about to see, Aaron? We'll play them in order and have you comment. 1 clip, comment, and just keep going with comments in between each of the 3 clips. What's the first clip we're about to see, Aaron?
Well, it's kind of an introduction to the site, which is Caesarea Maritima. It's the ancient port city that King Herod the Great built. And I'm going to go into a little bit of reason why he built it. And I'm going to try to fill in some gaps. Like, for example, why did the Romans actually come to the land of Judea. We know that we were under Roman occupation, but why did the Romans actually come here? So, you know, this is part of your history channel. History is my main passion as a tour guide. So I'm going to try and fill in the gaps as you're going to see in the video.
And by the way, we're going to be producing these and sending them honorariums for them. So if you like it, support our network, support our foundation, so we can send him out there to do these. WorldviewFoundation.com, WorldviewFoundation.com. And then we're going to be putting them for you to watch at WorldviewTube.com/history, our new history channel. WorldviewTube.com/history. Okay? Here, tell your friends and family about it. Here's the first clip.
Ladies and gentlemen, lend me your ears. This was a famous quote that the Romans, especially the orators, the Stoics, would recite, especially on either balconies or in places like where I'm standing here, an ancient Roman theater. That's right, I'm standing here in the ancient city of Caesarea. We are here on the Mediterranean coast, and this city was built 2,000 years by the great, famous historian and king, Herod the Great. This is why he was called Herod the Great, because of his great feats, his great building projects. Here in the land of Judea, which it was known as 2,000 years ago, he built a number of palaces, fortresses. He built the temple in Jerusalem, and he builds this city here called Caesarea. He builds it in 12 years. He calls it Caesarea. He named it after the famous Caesar Augustus, also famously known as Octavian. It's really interesting to know that before Herod and the Romans came to the land of Judea, there was terrible infighting among the Jewish people, the Sadducees and a group of Jews called the Hasmoneans, who were more famously known as the Maccabees. They were fighting each other. They were killing each other. There was even one story of a man who wanted to be called the high priest. And someone from the other camp bit his ear off. Why? Because the scriptures teach us that anyone with a defect in his body is disqualified for being a high priest. And this is how bad it became. And because of the infighting among these two Jewish camps, both of them called upon a growing power from the Mediterranean called the Romans. And so the Romans came. This is the reason why the Romans actually came here, to sort out the problems. When they came here, they realized how vital this and strategic this location was. Because over to my the west here is the ancient trade route along the Mediterranean coast. This was called the Via Maris, or the way of the sea. And this is why Herod builds this city, because any ship going up and down that Mediterranean, he would charge a taxation or a levy. Now, according to our famous historian Josephus Flavius, Herod's port could hold up to 700 ships. I call it the first 700 club. That's right, 700 ships. So Herod didn't really have many ways of making money here. There was a little bit of agriculture, a little bit of pottery, textile, but nothing substantial. So his building projects, and here in Caesarea, building the port was a great way of making money. He needed money. He needed money for his building projects. And so he dedicates this city to Caesar Augustus. And in those days, not too long after King Herod the Great, when Christianity started to flourish, the Christians were facing a real challenge because in those days, the Roman Caesars, they were almost like gods. In the Greco-Roman culture, they used to deify humans. That's why you find statues everywhere, because of the deification of human beings, going right back to the Egyptian culture. For example, Ramesses, from the word Ra, Moses, which means the child of the sun. It was the same with the Greeks. Antiochus Epiphanes. The word Epiphanes means God manifest. So the problem for the Christians in the first 300 years, especially here in Caesarea, was that there was only one Lord, and that was Caesar. But for the Christians, they were following someone that they believed was Lord, and that was Jesus, or in Hebrew, Yeshua. So there was a clash of cultures, a clash of religion, a clash of ideology. And it was here in Caesarea that Christianity actually began to flourish, especially from the 3rd century. A famous historian and church father, Eusebius, he had a library here in Caesarea of up to 20,000 books. Yes, 20,000. This became a place of apologetics where people came to study and to debate the clash of cultures between Jewish, Christian, pagan. And a lot of church fathers from Africa, Tertullian, Origen, Jerome, Saint Jerome, the man who translated the Greek Bible into Latin. And so a lot of history here in Caesarea. And we're going to find out a little bit more as we head towards the port. Follow me.
Fascinating. Guys, aren't you thankful that God providentially brought us Aaron? Aaron, we got a couple more clips, but tell me what was that Colosseum specifically used for? What went on in that Colosseum?
So that's actually a theater. It's not an amphitheater. Amphi means two. That's the oval. It's just a theater. Held up to about 3,000 people. And usually what went on in the theaters, which was mainly entertainment, number one, they would reenact a lot of the Greek mythological stories like Zeus, Jupiter, and all of these, half men, half God, Greek mythological figures. That was a big part of the Greco-Roman culture, number one. Number two, if there was a battle or a war that went on, today we can watch the news. You've just been showing clips, CNN, BBC, Fox. In those days, they didn't have that. So what they did is they had all the actors and the props and the costumes, and the people would hear about a battle that happened between the Spartans or whoever, and they would pay their money, go to the theaters, and watch the actors reenact one of the battles. And it was great entertainment. Of course, they didn't physically kill each other, but they used all the props and everything like that. So you've got Greek mythological stories, you've got historical battles, then you've got some very pagan and immoral stuff. In those days, there was a lot of homosexuality, where they would get up to all kinds of, evil and licentious stuff that went on in the theaters. And they would, they would have plays and stories that they would reenact, homosexual stories. So they are the main things that happened. Then they would have comedies as well, where they would try to bring about humoristic things. And sometimes they would even like Saturday Night Live, for example, they would use political satire. They would make fun about the Caesars, but they would have to be very careful not to cross too many lines there.
So now this again, how far is this from Jerusalem, Aaron?
So if you drive on a relatively low traffic day, you can get there, let's say, in about an hour and a half. Okay, and this is when the Romans were occupying Jerusalem, Israel, and who would go to these? Would these be would Jews go there, or would it just mostly be Romans, or would it be a mixture? Very interesting question. The reason, firstly, Caesarea was the capital of Judea. Herod made it the capital. It's estimated there were about 100,000 residents, and it was mixture. As I mentioned, there was a clash and mixture of cultures and religions. For the most part, Jews and Christians were basically told by their leaders, by the rabbis and by the Christian leaders, keep away from the theaters. The theaters, it's kind of like the movie theaters today. Be careful what kind of movies you go to see. It was exactly the same back there. Pretty much all the stuff that you saw in the theaters were pagan or immoral, and they just fed the flesh, entertainment. So the Jews and the Christians were pretty much told to keep away. So it was mainly Romans, and it was foreigners who lived in the land. But sometimes, you know, when people got naughty from the Jewish community, from the Christian community, they would go to these places, just like some people today from Christian and Jewish community. I've got a few jokes about that, but we probably don't have time. But, you know, well, maybe we've got time for one. It's like the rabbi who had a secret sin. He loved eating pork. And every Monday he would go to his famous or his favorite restaurant. And so one Monday he goes into his restaurant and he gets greeted. And then the waiter said, "Rabbi, would you like your usual pig?" And the rabbi said, "Yes, please." So after about 15 minutes, the pig gets served on his plate, and he's just about to eat it, and two members of his congregation walk in the front door. And they look over and they say, "Rabbi, is that you eating pig?" And the rabbi thinks for a second. He knows he's busted, and he says, "You know, this restaurant is crazy. You order an apple and look how they serve it."
That's good. That's good. Ooh, and he's got more of those, by the way, folks. All right, let's go to the second clip, Logan. Again, great tours by our reporter on the ground in Israel, Aaron Lavarco. He's going to be bringing us more of these, folks, if you appreciate it, worldviewfoundation.com, because we're paying him honorariums for doing these because it takes time. And we want to fill up our history channel with great history programming. So thank you for your support to help us keep these going and coming from our reporter, Aaron, worldviewfoundation.com. Watch this.
Well, thanks for following me, everyone, to the Mediterranean Sea. This is the western port or the western coast of the land of Judea, today Israel. In the 1950s, our archaeologists were able to discover that this was Caesarea because there were planes flying up and down the Mediterranean, and they saw some black patches under the water, quite a lot of black patches, and they realized that those black patches were remains of something. They weren't sure what it was. And they started to do some underground or underwater excavations, and they discovered the ancient city of Caesarea. In fact, today they are still doing underground or underwater archaeology and finding all kinds of things. For example, about 3 years ago, they found a coin, or rather it was a ring, but it was a coin embedded into a ring. And it was a picture of the Good Shepherd. And we know that here from the 4th to the 7th centuries, Christianity flourished. This was called Byzantine Caesarea. Why was it called Byzantine? Well, in today's modern Turkey, there was an ancient city called Byzantine. And the first Roman emperor who became a Christian was a man called Constantine. And he saw that there was a seat of authority for the church in the west, in Rome, but he wanted a seat of authority in the east. So he builds a seat of authority in an ancient place called Byzantine. He changes the name to Constantinople, named after himself, Constantine. That is today's Istanbul in Turkey. So now we have a seat of authority in Rome in the west and in Istanbul or Byzantine Constantinople in the east. But here, Christianity flourished, and we have that archaeological remain from that ring, which shows the Good Shepherd. Of course, we know that shepherds were a major theme in the Bible, and especially a messianic theme, because we have two key messianic figures who were pro-messianic images. For example, Moses. He was a shepherd. He shepherded Israel in the desert. In Deuteronomy 18:18, Moses himself says, "The Lord your God will raise up unto you one like me. Listen to him." And of course, one came just like Moses. Moses was the little baby who was being haunted, but he was spared. Jesus, Yeshua, was the little baby haunted, but he was spared. Moses became the mediator. Yeshua, Jesus, is the mediator. According to 1 Timothy 2, verse 5, there is one God and one mediator between God and men, the man Christ Jesus. Moses was the one that went up to the mountain and gave us his Torah. And in Matthew 5, it says, seeing a multitude, he went up on a mountain, the one like Moses. And then lastly, Moses was the deliverer, the one that brought the people out of slavery into freedom, and our Savior is our deliverer. And so many, many themes, many years of history here at Caesarea, where there were volumes, thousands of books, where there was a crossroads, the ancient trade route that I mentioned, the Via Maris behind me, and of course the port that could host up to 700 ships. And it's really interesting how Herod builds this port. In those days, there were many earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. One of Herod's men came up with an idea. When molten lava hardens, it hardens into one of the hardest rock, basalt or basalt. One of his men had an idea to grind down that rock, mix it with limestone, few other things, and turn it into cement. Then they would get shafts and pour the cement into it and lower them down into the water using the pulley system, and that became the bedrock of the port. And so this was a flourishing city for about 700 years. And it was only when the Muslims came in about the 7th century that we started to see the demise of Caesarea. After the Muslims came and and decimated the city. They built a mosque here. It was then in the 11th to the 13th centuries that the Catholic Crusaders came, and they were masters of the sea. They were brilliant at sea. They were far better than the Muslims. So then in the 13th century, under the leadership of Salah ad-Din, the Muslim leader, they destroyed all of the ports along the Mediterranean coast here, all the way from Gaza in the south to Joppa, to Caesarea, and up to Akko and Haifa. All the ports were destroyed so that the Crusaders could not come back. And thus the Muslims controlled this area, including Caesarea, until 1917, when the British came and liberated this land. That was called the British Mandate period. And of course, they had help from a group of soldiers called the Anzacs, Australian New Zealand Armed Corps. That's another story we'll keep for another time.
Aaron, our reporter on the ground doing these special historical reports. I'd love to hear from you guys, folks. What do you make of this? Are you thankful we're doing this? That we're going to be doing more of this? You can simply email me. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your feedback if you want us to continue doing this. And I think a lot of you do. Brannon, Brannon, Brannon at worldviewtube.com. Brannon, Brannon, Brannon at worldviewtube.com. Aaron, how much of this history is told to people that come to Israel for tours? Is this, I know you would do this. Aren't you kind of doing what you do on your normal tours? But what about other tour guides? Do they give this kind of background on location?
Yeah, the course to actually become a tour guide, it's pretty brutal. You've got layer and layer of history, archaeology, geology, geography, wars, borders, flora, fauna, you name it. And it's just, and we're not talking about over 100, 200 years. We're talking about a few thousand years. So we all have to learn the information. But every tour guide has his or her own strengths and weaknesses and favorites. Now, myself personally, I love to bring out the historical, social, and cultural background of the Bible. I like to fill in the gaps where you read the Bible and you exegete the Bible. You look at, what was going on in the background. What did this mean? Who was the writer writing to? What was going on in the day? That's what I love to do on my tours, bring out the background, the social, the cultural, the historical, even the literary background. But other guides, especially if they're not necessarily, some guides in Israel are atheists, and they give a totally different spin. They would probably focus on what I did, which is a lot of historical, social, and cultural information. But there was actually one guy in my class when I did the course. He was an architect, and he loved to talk about structures of temples, buildings, and, it was fantastic. He takes you into a world that, and he opens up a new world. So, everyone has their own a spin on it, and what they love their passion. Some people, I know, they love warfare. They love history of warfare. So if you're a tour guide and you're like that, and you're guiding at Caesarea, then you're going to really go into the Roman background, the Roman warfare and their soldiers and their training and their equipment. That's their spin. I know a little bit about that, but not as deep as some others.
So the great thing about you, Aaron, is you know the Bible, and you're bringing and you read Hebrew, right? And
Correct.
you speak
yes.
it, right?
Yes.
So you bring the biblical analysis, which a lot of tour guides don't do because a lot of them aren't Christians, right? So you're a very unique tour guide, but for our audience, largely a Christian audience, you're a very special gift because, and this is why people like Dr. Rob Lindstedt texted me today for your number saying, I think I'd like to use him on one of my next tours, and you already have it in your book because they want that biblical worldview, Bible prophecy background.
And you know what, Brandon? It's taken me, I would say, quite a few years to understand, especially what the Christians come for, what they come to the Holy Land for. Some of them, they just want to come on a pilgrimage. They want to just go where Jesus was, and that's enough for them. But a lot of Christians, they want a lot deeper than that. And they want the background. They want the history. They want the culture. They love it. And I think it was Jack Hayford, the late Jack Hayford. He said, not every believer can spend a year, 2 or 3 of their life going to a Bible college. But if you can take a week, 9, 10 days, up to 12 days, and come on a tour of the Holy Land with a good tour guide, that can be equally, if not even better, than a year or 2 or 3 at a Bible college. So, for me, wow, when I get tourists come on, I'm almost like a host. I want to show you around. I'm passionate about it. I'm proud of the land. It's God's land. And you know what makes it special? It's not just the past, not just the present, but the future. Israel has a destiny, and it's so exciting to be able to present exactly that.
Amen to that. And folks, this is why we're going to continue working with Aaron to produce these, because some of us can't go. Some of you can't go financially, physically, whatever the reason might be. But we can do this because it is so important. Like Jack Hayford said, getting a good tour of Israel with a good tour guide like Aaron can be even more beneficial than a year or 2 or 3 in seminary. So we're going to keep doing this. All right, let's go to the third and final segment with our tour guide, Aaron Lavarco. Watch this.
One of the interesting things that we found here in Caesarea are remains of not just sporting and historical educational places, but actual residential things. For example, I am sitting right now, yes, you guessed it, I'm sitting on the toilet. That's right, don't laugh. The Romans had needs just like we do today. And it's interesting, the name of an exit or a toilet was called a vomitarium. Vomitarium, the place where it goes out. Now, this is not just a toilet behind me, but it's actually at the exit entrance to part of the fun of the city of Caesarea. Behind me, everyone, is a hippodrome. We all know what a hippodrome is, right? Yeah, it's where they raced hippopotamuses, no? No. The Greek word for horse is hippo. And this is where they had the horses and the chariots. Like the movie Ben-Hur? That's right. They would race around 12 times this track. And it was great entertainment. We have the remains there behind me of seating. And it was in an oval shape where it could seat up to 30,000 spectators. Can you imagine the excitement, the entertainment, along with the theater that we saw before? This was a big part of the Roman culture. The entertainment, the fun, as well as in the theaters, they used to reenact Greek mythological stories, and they used to reenact warfare. Today we have television footage where we can see war, we can see the televisions go right into where the battle is raging. In those days, they didn't have that, but what they did do is they reenacted those things in the theaters where they had the actors and the props and all of the stuff. And of course, if the emperors and the leaders were happy, they would give it the thumbs up. And if they weren't, they would give it the thumbs down. But another really exciting thing about here in Caesarea are some of the biblical figures that we find here. We've already talked about King Herod the Great. The Apostle Peter was here in a famous story after he had that vision of the sheet of animals coming down and the voice 3 times saying, "Arise, slay and eat." And then the voice said, "What God has cleansed and called clean, do not call unclean or uncommon or common." And so Peter the next day comes here and he meets the Roman soldier Cornelius. And Peter understands that that sheet of animals where God said it's okay to eat these unclean animals stood for the Gentiles. Because in that port where Peter got that vision, that was Jaffa. Jaffa was the place where Jonah ran away from the Lord. Why did Jonah run away? Because he didn't want mercy and salvation to come to the Gentiles. Peter, a fisherman, 700 years later was in that port city, and the Lord came to him and said, "What God has called clean, the Gentiles don't call unclean." And it's really interesting, 2 times in the New Testament, the Lord calls Peter son of Jonah, probably a prophetic name that he would be like Jonah, taking the gospel to the Gentiles. And here, on this pivotal area, the Mediterranean, on the Via Maris, where, by the way, Thomas and his 4 daughters who prophesied took the gospel out. Yes, that's right. This is where the gospel first was taken out to the nations from Caesarea. We read about that in the book of Acts. Not only was Peter here, Paul was here. Paul could have been a free man, but he appealed to Festus. And when he appealed, Festus says, "To Caesar you have appealed, to Caesar thou shalt go." But he had to wait for his trial. And it was here in Caesarea that Paul was in prison for 2 full years. And recently, over the last few years, we've actually uncovered and discovered that very prison. And I'm going to turn around so you can see down here is to believed to be where the prison was. That's exciting. So all these and more are stories of Caesarea that was built on the crossroads of trade, crossroads of religion, a clash of cultures. And yet it was here that the gospel came, where Jew and Gentile become one in the Messiah. When Peter arrived here, he said, "God has shown me that he is no respecter of persons, and that any man who does right and fears God is accepted by him." That same message still rings true today. God bless you and shalom from the Mediterranean city, Caesarea.
Excellent job. Now I got a computer out here, folks, and I am sending right now a love offering and an honorarium to Aaron for helping produce, for producing these. Okay? And if you appreciate what you've seen tonight and you'd like to see more of these tours specifically for our audience and our network to not only air here, but then to give them a home over at worldviewtube.com/history, we need your support. Look at all the things the Lord is allowing us to do, and providentially, how Aaron and I even came to work together through a mutual friend out of Minneapolis, St. Paul, who went to Israel, had Aaron as a tour guide, and literally hounded me a lot until I finally contacted Aaron. And I wish I had contacted him sooner, but my friend didn't give up. He said, I just know God has something that you and Aaron can do together. That's what he said. And look at that. So if you appreciate this and what you've seen tonight, let's keep it going. WorldviewFoundation.com. Aaron, I don't know if you can check. Did you get the love offering I just sent over all the way to Israel?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Brennan. And thank you for all the supporters that send in, not just for what you sent me, but for what you do and what Dr. Rob and everyone does, and Ani. It's a great ministry. It's warfare. We're trying to bring out truth. We're trying to bring light where there's darkness. So I'm very thankful to be part of it. Thank you.
Well, thank you. You're a big part of it. Now, where do you think you want to go next? What's the next? Because Logan's like, we need to do one of these, one a week. Where do you think you're going to go next, Aaron, for our audience?
You know, I've been thinking about it, but I haven't really got something yet. I might need another day or two to really think and pray about where to go. Of course, there are some areas I can't go because of the situation. But or maybe I need to go to one of those places where there's a bit of action.
No, we don't need you to get hurt. No, we don't need you to get hurt. Hey, can you go and film with the red heifers?
I can. I will do that at some stage for sure. Whether it's, it's getting towards the end of the week now. I don't think I can do it this week. Maybe next week I can do that. If you'd like me to, I can go there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That would be awesome. What about going to help me say it, the Pool of Siloam?
Yeah, the Pool of Siloam in the city of David. I can go there. I can go to the Wailing Wall, the Western Wall. I can go up on the Temple Mount, Brannon.
Yes.
It's going to be endless. And so you can either let me know what site, or maybe some viewers have got some requests, or I can just choose. It's going to be endless. I'm actually thinking of going up to Mount Carmel. That's a story where Elijah the prophet
of Elijah,
of Elijah, where he had the showdown with the 450 false prophets of Baal. So yeah, like I said, it's endless where we can go with this.
Well, let's do it. Let's do it. Now, how far away are some of these locations from where you live?
Well, some are quite close, 45 minutes, an hour. Places like Tel Shiloh, where the red heifers are, that's maybe a few hours drive. So that's right inside of Samaria. So it's, one has to also be in touch with the news if there's disturbances or, terror attacks. And the same with the Temple Mount. There are some times I've taken groups and we've had it on our itinerary to go up on the Temple Mount, and we'll get a report that morning that it's closed due to disturbances, dangers. So we just have to improvise and change our itinerary around. But for the most part, Israel's the size of New Jersey. So, everything's possible.
Okay, well, if you get to some of these spots where, it's 2 or 3 hour drive and you need to go the night before and stay in a hotel, or it's getting too late in the day, you let us know the cost of that hotel, and we'll tack that on, because we want to make sure that we make you complete and whole, because a workman is worthy of his hire. So you always let us know that too, okay?
Oh, thank you so much, Brandon. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Aaron. Great job. Stay in touch, as you always do. Let's follow what's happening also in Syria. And be safe, my friends, as we pray for the peace of Jerusalem, which really means we're praying the Lord's Prayer. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven, right? The millennial kingdom. That's what we're really praying for when we pray for the peace of Jerusalem, is the millennial kingdom, when there really will be peace with the Prince of Peace ruling. Right, Aaron?
Yeah, amen. That's going to happen. We don't know what it's going to be like before. It's going to be a rough, rocky road, but we know in the end it's going to work out for peace. And by the way, a report is that the Syrian army has withdrawn, or they've begun to withdraw, and apparently there's a ceasefire that's just started. Let's hope that it stays.
Let's hope it holds. Thank you, Aaron.
Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate that.
You too, my friend. All right, folks, before we go, take a look at this right here. Remember, we're brought to you by you. One way is our foundation, but there are many ways. One way is our vault. You know, we have archived over 35 years since 1990. 35 years of my work and that of many of my broadcast partners, like Aaron, like Annie, like Sharam Hadian, like Usama Dakrock, Jimmy DeYoung, John Whitcomb, and the list goes on and on. 35 years of books, documentaries, radio shows, TV shows, conference DVDs, and more. And very soon, we'll be adding that a very powerful online worldview Bible commentaries. Digital worldview and Bible commentaries from our 35-year library, where everything we have done has been transcribed. And you're going to be able to ask questions of our powerful Bible and worldview software, and it will bring you answers and articles and video clips. And we're not raising the price at all for any of this. So please join now. There's so much to do, so much to read, to see, to listen to, but we're very excited. Coming soon, this online digital worldview and Bible commentaries section. All right, you can join now for as little as $7.99 a month, $8.99 a month, or $9.99 a month, whichever program you prefer. It's timeless and historical and biblical worldview content, folks. Even if it's a few years old, doesn't matter. Even if it's several years old, it doesn't matter, because the grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of God will stand forever. So when it's based on the Bible, it doesn't go out of date. When we're telling history and worldview, and the worldview ideas and challenges and the philosophies that are competing, these are still in play today. So this doesn't go out of date, okay? So please consider joining now. worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault. Don't forget about our prophecy channel, free, brought to you by our foundation, worldviewtube.com/prophecy, our history channel, worldviewtube.com/history, our health channel, worldviewtube.com/health, all these additional channels. Of course, it's again brought to you by you when you use great products like our water purifier that filters out all of the chemicals and nasty things that are in the water. And you don't want to shower in that water either, right? So you can get the water showers, you can get the water filters for shower onto your sink for your drinking water, all there at worldviewwater.net, worldviewwater.net. Gatatana, I take this and drink it every day. It goes right to your cellular level to feed your mitochondria, to boost your own immune system so your own body can fight off the bad things. And of course, I give half a scoop to Dolly every day on her food. There's that cat that had a tumor. They got it on Gatatana, tumor gone. 5 clinical trials behind this. That's all there. worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Swish for life. You swish with that, loaded with that glutathione to detox your cells. Some studies show glutathione may remove mercury from your brain, helping prevent Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's. It's all at worldviewtube.com/sponsors. All right, roll the music. Let's call it a night. Great job, guys. And thank you guys for watching, for listening, for supporting. Don't forget, you can get a pack, 20 free business cards. They're free. Get a pack of 20, double-sided. Pass them out to your family and your friends. Joan of Arc. I think she's from Arkansas. I think that's what she calls herself, Joan of Arc. She was passing them out the other day. One of our listeners in L.A. gave them to an LAPD officer. Get a free pack. WorldviewStore.com. All right? Hey, till next time, I'm Brandon House. May God save America. Take care.
You're watching Worldview Tube, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brandon House.
Spiritual values, moral issues, government, economy, education, work, responsibility. What we think about these depends on our worldview. Now, VCY America presents Worldview Radio with Brannon House.
All right, guys, welcome back here on this July 16th, 2025. We are going to be joined by our reporter on the ground in Israel, because I was texting last night with Aaron. I was texting with Hadia, depending on how you say it. And I was seeing some videos that were very disturbing to me of some folks in the Middle East that look like they're in Syria, having their beards and mustaches cut off. They were bleeding. They were bleeding from the face. I'm like, whoa, what is this? It looked very demoralizing, humiliating to them. Scary, to be honest with you, because I wasn't sure some of them were on the verge about to be killed, and I think some of them actually were killed. According to one report, one of the guys they did this to, they killed him. They assassinated him after they put him through this treatment. So here's the question. Who were these people doing this? Is this ISIS? Is this Al-Qaeda? Is this the military of the president of Syria? And are these Druze, D-R-U-Z, Druze in Syria that are being put through this? Now, there are reports out today. We have the videos, by the way, to show it, where there's been a lot of bombing going on today. And it looks like Israel has struck a major building in Damascus. In fact, we even have the screen. We have the video footage of it. Logan, if we want to show that on the TV side. But this was no small situation here. There you go. That's the audio of the people on the ground. And I think this was like a major military installation in Damascus. And for the radio audience, it would look something like a typical office building, large office building in the U.S. And it was obviously strategically targeted. There are news reporters around it, some who had it behind them when it started exploding, and they ran off camera. Others just turned their back to the camera with their helmets and their flak jackets on. And started talking about it. So where is all this going? What's happening? And is it true that the Trump administration has been tried to convince the Netanyahu administration not to do this? I think I'm personally siding with the Netanyahu administration on this one, based on the videos I'm seeing. But let's see what our expert on the ground, our reporter brought to you by our foundation, worldviewfoundation.com, helps to send him regular love offerings to keep him there reporting for us. Worldviewfoundation.com, brought to you as a public service and ministry broadcast of our foundation. Aaron Lavarco. Aaron, welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Brendan. Great to be with you.
You too, my friend. Okay, so last night I think I sent you some videos, and I sent them over to Hadia as well. And what I was seeing were videos of guys having their beards shaved off, their mustaches shaved off, and some of it looked pretty brutal. They're bleeding from the face, and I was a little concerned that some of these guys were right on the verge, after being humiliated, of being assassinated. I read that one of them may indeed have been assassinated. This is going on in Syria, correct?
Correct, Brennan. And what is...
And these are Druze. Are these Druze?
They are Druze. 3% of the Syrian population are Druze. Druze are an offshoot of Islam from the 12th century. And there are Druze living in Syria, and there are Druze living in Israel. We have about 80,000 Druze living in Israel. Some of the Druze living in Israel are related to some of the Druze living in Syria. And let me explain, we're talking about literally 10, 20, 30 miles apart from each other. And the Druze living in Syria are one of the small ethnic minority groups in Syria, along with the Kurds and other groups, Christians. But Brannon, we are seeing the true face, the true nature of the new Syrian president, the one that wears a tie, the one that was shaking hands with Donald Trump, the one that was about to step up and say, we are going to be part of the Abraham peace accords with Israel. This same leader, Brannon, who had a $10 million bounty over his head, which now Donald Trump has taken off. They are no longer looked upon as a terror organization. Brannon, we are now seeing their true nature. And I was just watching an hour ago a Druze from Israel, a man crying, screaming, saying that the number of dead are now in the hundreds. And he was saying, Israel, do not forget October the 7th. Your people were attacked. Your people were murdered. Your women were raped. Your people were taken captive. The same thing is happening to us. And God forbid that we should not let, or rather we should not help the Druze. And we are helping the Druze. We are helping them.
All right, now let's just make sure the audience understands. The Druze, these would be, correct me if I'm wrong, these would be non-violent, there's various branches of Islam. This is a branch that would be non-violent. They would not be involved in jihad and murdering people. Is that a true statement or not?
That is very correct, but they have weapons. They have their own defense, just like Israel. We are the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces. We are a democracy. We are not going looking to cause trouble. But if people attack us, we will defend ourselves. And the Druze are the same. They are peace-loving people. And by the way, they are not Muslims. They are an offshoot of Islam. They're a mixed religion. They believe in all the major prophets from Abraham, Moses, David, Jethro. The father-in-law of Moses is their number one prophet. He was the priest of Midian. And they claim to be descendants of the Midianites. They also follow a lot of the traditions of Islam and Judaism, but they are their own religion. They're a little secretive. They believe in reincarnation. And as I say, it's a very much a mixture of a religion, a little bit of Judaism, a little bit of Christianity, and a little bit of Islam. Be that as it may, they are peaceful and loyal to whichever country they are living in, including Syria, including Lebanon, and including Israel. There's only about 3.5 million maximum Druze in the world. And we have, as I said, about 80,000 living within our borders. Some of them serve in our army. We had an ex-general who was a Druze. They're very, very loyal, and we are helping them. And I'm so glad, so proud of our government and our defense forces who are in there helping them, and they need help. They are being slaughtered by these ISIS and Al-Qaeda operatives. Let's not forget Jolani, the leader of Syria, the president of Syria, who's wearing a suit and tie. He was in ISIS and he was in Al-Qaeda. Now, Brannon, I believe the big question is 5 minutes ago, or, a week or two ago, he was almost signing the Abraham peace accords with America.
Well,
with
wasn't
Israel.
he supposed to be coming to the White House?
Yes.
We had reports he was going to go to the White House with Benjamin Netanyahu in the coming weeks.
Absolutely. So is the guy stupid? Is he playing all of his cards? He knows very well that we look after the Druze and the Druze look after us. He knows that. So either he is stupid or, and this is my guess, someone has been whispering in his ear, Jolani, if you make peace with Israel and the United States, you're going to either pay a price or your supplies are going to get stopped, because by signing peace with Israel and the United States, that's a big paycheck he's going to get. It's going to bring in billions for Syria. So that's what I'm saying. Either he's stupid or people are whispering in his ear not to do it. And you know who?
And who would that be?
Well, that's the big question. And I'm only guessing. My first thought is it could be ISIS themselves, for which he was an affiliate, or it could be Al-Qaeda. But I was listening about half an hour ago to a talk show host, not long ago, a group living in Syria called the PKK, who are a kind of like the Druze, like the Christians. They're an independent group. They surrendered very recently, not to Syria, but to Turkey. And this was a great victory for Turkey, because now Turkey have got people living in Syria who are now submitted to the Turks. And I'm guessing, I could be totally wrong. I'm guessing, I don't know. It could be the Turks that may have been whispering in the ears of Jolani, don't do this. Because as I say, he knows what's at stake either way. If he fights the Druze, he knows he's fighting Israel. And Brandon, have you been hearing? Israel has been pounding, you reported, that building that was destroyed, that was the equivalent of the Pentagon. That was a defense.
I thought it was.
Yeah, that's the defense ministry building. We are pounding not just Syria, but Damascus. And I wonder, is Isaiah
17?
Isaiah 17. Is Isaiah 17 in our midst about to happen? I don't know. But it is serious.
And by the way,
stuff.
just so I don't get emails from some in the audience, some theologians believe that's already occurred, like Dr. Woods. Others believe it hasn't. So we'll see where it goes. But I thought the same thing today. By the way, we have video footage here. This is a regular Syrian army guy that I'm playing a video of, listening friends. But on his uniform is the ISIS logo. Okay? On his uniform is the ISIS logo. Why would we be making agreements, taking ISIS, Al-Qaeda, these guys off the terror list? Remember when Hedia last week, or a couple weeks ago when this happened, couldn't believe it. Annie couldn't believe it. Aaron couldn't believe it. A lot of our experts on the Middle East and Israel couldn't believe it. And this is why many were very, very sick to their stomach to see President Trump shaking the leader of Syria's hand and talking so nice about him. We come back, we'll get into this more, where this could go. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
News is moving faster than ever, and so are we. Worldview Tube brings you 24/7 live stream coverage and now real-time alerts when it matters most. Once you have the Worldview Tube app installed, exit the app and navigate your way to Settings. In Settings, locate the tab labeled Notifications. Select the Notifications tab. Scroll down until you locate the Worldview Tube app icon. Select the tab, and here you can turn on and customize your notification experience for the Worldview Tube app. News doesn't wait, and neither should you. Turn on push notifications to stay informed. Every headline as it happens.
You're watching Worldview 2, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon House.
All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. Worldview Radio, our website, worldviewradio.com, worldviewradio.com. Aaron, our reporter on the ground in Israel, again, brought to you by our foundation, worldviewfoundation.com. Aaron is also going to various sites, and he'll be on Brandon House Live tonight. He's gone to various sites, and he's recording for us. You know, he's a licensed tour guide in Israel. In fact, by the way, Dr. Lindstedt asked for his phone number today. Aaron's hearing this for the first time because he said, I think I might want to use him as a tour guide.
We talked. He called me.
What? Oh, you do know this then. All right. Well, he asked me for your phone number. He said, I think I might want to use him as a tour guide. I said, yeah, please, just don't take him away so I can't get a hold of him, you know. But yeah, go ahead. So there you go. I'm glad to see you guys working together. So you might lead one of Dr. Rob Lindstedt's tours, huh, Aaron?
Absolutely. He gave me the dates. I looked in my calendar, and it's all good to go.
Look at that. Awesome. That's good. All right. Well, he is a licensed tour guide, as you guys know. And we've asked him to please go to various sites and do little short documentaries for us that we can use on our history channel, our brand new history channel, and use on our brand new Bible prophecy channel, depending on which special we're talking about. Oh, by the way, did you not know about that? Yeah, we've got worldviewtube.com, which is 24/7. But then we just added worldviewtube.com/history. There's a history channel. And worldviewtube.com/prophecy. That's our Bible prophecy channel. Of course, we have our health channel, worldviewtube.com/health. That's our health channel. We call it our health and home channel. But Aaron just sent over, but Aaron's going to show us tonight. We're going to do this for tonight, Brandon House Live. Aaron, what is it, by the way, if we get back to our topic, what is it you just sent us? You were filming at some, looked like a 2,000-year-old Roman Colosseum. Is that right?
Yeah, it's the ancient city of Caesarea. Not Caesarea Philippi, Caesarea Maritima. That was the city that King Herod built, that we read about Peter, Cornelius, Paul, Pontius Pilate, Rabbi Akiva, Eusebius, Tertullian, Oregon church fathers, the Crusaders, the Muslims, 2,000 years of incredible history, archaeology, and I was able to tie up 2,000 years in only 20 minutes.
Wow. We're going to get into that tonight on Brandon House Live. All right, let's go back. I showed on the screen, this is a regular Syrian soldier in the Syrian army wearing an ISIS logo. Now, this is who we are trying to make a partnership with, which is why so many people were left scratching their heads. Correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron. What I'm hearing in you today when you talk about what President Trump's administration is doing with the leader of Syria, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm hearing a little bit more of, I don't want to say maybe the word irritation or grave concern. When you just talk about this, I'm hearing I'm picking up on a little bit in your voice that this has really concerned you. What appears to be a major foreign policy misstep by the Trump administration. True or false?
Looking back in hindsight and knowing Donald Trump, he's not stupid. He knew that Giuliani had a $10 million bounty on his head. He's not stupid. He's made statements like, we can always give someone a second chance. I don't believe he was sideswiped. I believe he knew very well. But here's the thing. Giuliani's blown it. Now will be the test. If Donald Trump continues to try and make peace with him, that will be massive. People here in Israel and the Druze living in Israel and the Druze living in Syria, they are asking for Trump to give a strong condemnation. Until now, it's only been a very light condemnation. He needs to come in. Now, it's still early, but like I quoted, Brandon, if you could have seen this Druze man weeping, crying. It was, for them, it's their October the 7th. They're getting slaughtered. They're getting raped. They're getting kidnapped. They're crying out to Israel for help. And like I said, I'm so proud and happy. We are helping them. We will not forsake them. That's what Bibi Netanyahu said. He said, we will not forsake our Druze brothers. And he speaks to the sheikhs, the leaders of the community, and our defense minister has said the same. We will not abandon you. Thank God for people like this. So we are helping them, but we are more than that. This is a war. People from Syria were trying to break through our borders. Hundreds of Druze broke through the Syrian border to try and go and help their Druze brothers and sisters in Syria. This is a full-scale war now.
Let me show you a video. This is one of the videos I saw.
This is a full-scale war with Syria, by the way.
This is one of the videos I saw that I found very disturbing. And it is an older man with a white beard. And one of these ISIS soldiers has his hand on his head as he roughly, and without any shaving cream or anything, shaves this man's beard off. And then I understand this is a Druze leader. And I understand after this happened, they assassinated him. Aaron, is that true?
It is true. 80-year-old sheikh leader murdered, humiliated and murdered. And these are, I'm telling you, they're the same nature as Hamas, as ISIS. We know all about ISIS, and this was a concern, and I brought this up straight after Jolani overthrew Assad. This is one of the first things I brought up. In Syria, there are thousands and thousands of ISIS prisoners under the leadership of the Kurds. The Kurds that live in Syria, they are controlling the prisons that have ISIS soldiers or terrorists inside of their prisons. So this is a very, very dangerous situation. Our Air Force are pounding, and the quote that I read earlier, Israel has taken off her gloves. So expect this, and there's been a few talks of ceasefires, but it hasn't happened.
All right, so what we've got here is now this coming in. The Druze medical team in the hospital, a few hours before the massacre, they have names, family stories, and they were all slaughtered. The Druze medical team. What do you know of this, Aaron?
Look at them. They are not troublemakers. They don't have weapons in their hands. They are serving the community, probably serving Syrian soldiers, Jolani soldiers. What a waste. What animalistic people. And this is the nature. This is that spirit that, I was listening to something very interesting, Brannon, and the person that was talking was differentiating the difference between a Muslim who is a nationalist and a Muslim who is a jihadist. A Muslim who is a nationalist is proud of his country, wants to defend his country, and wants to build up his country. That's one camp. But a jihadist is a totally different natured person. And this is what we're seeing with Hamas. This is what we're seeing with ISIS. This is what we're seeing with this group, HTS, Jolani's group. And we need to pray that Trump's eyes are totally opened and that he does a 360 U-turn and, he calls a spade and he doesn't mince. But I respect Trump that he doesn't rush in. He doesn't act hastily. He weighs up. I respect him for that. And so far in general, apart from not finishing off the Ayatollahs in Iran. Although from what I'm hearing, Brandon, those meetings between him and Bibi and all the delegations from both sides, from what I'm hearing, Brandon, the two main issues that they were talking about, one was the Abraham Peace Accords, but number two is what people are calling round two. They're getting ready for round two with Iran because it hasn't gone away. It's like the analogy of like weeds growing in a garden. You cut them down, and as soon as you start to see them grow back, you have to cut them down again. That's what I've been hearing.
Here we go. Sarah Adams, the former CIA gal that we follow on social media. She says today, why is the U.S. Secretary of State upset that someone targeted an al-Qaeda commander? He was literally on our target deck 6 months ago. This kind of unhinged al-Qaeda appeasement isn't just reckless. It's going to get lots of Americans killed. Now, remember, folks, and Aaron, she and other intel experts are saying that al-Qaeda has invisible bombs, and they're planning a massive, way bigger than 9/11 terrorist attack on America, and they believe it's coming in 2025. That's their analysis. And so she's saying this is reckless. It's worse than that. It isn't just reckless. It's going to get lots of Americans killed. I don't know what's going on, Aaron. And I try to speak truth. I try to give my analysis. I want President Trump to succeed. I want America to succeed. But I'm seeing a lot of things right now that really cause me to question what's happening, but also to question if America and its leaders have not reached a tipping point. If America and its leaders have not humbled themselves